Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Post-Fight Podcast. This is Nick Atkin, the South China Morning Post here in Hong Kong. I'm joined by Chris Edwards-Bailey, also in Hong Kong, about 2 roads up from me, and Andrew Whitelaw in Kuala Lumpur. Andrew, how's everything going? We haven't had you on the show for a while. What's up?
Yeah, lads. All good. I missed out on the sexiest card of the year. My word, that was fun. I was at a birthday dinner kind of checking up on you boys and half of Asia, apparently. That was cool. That was good, wasn't it? Those numbers were absolutely wild. I think they all tuned in to see you unbutton another one of your shirt buttons.
Yeah,
that's what the people want. You've got to give it to them. I think the ratings just went through the roof.
We'll button that one up. You reminded me. I am on camera right now, and it's live. Yes, so I believe you were talking about the Inside the Matrix 1 card. Am I correct? With Ongla and Martin both losing their belts. But today here, aren't we going to do the Inside the Matrix 3 card, aren't we, Chris? We're going to preview it. Yeah. We're going to talk all the news in one, the latest news. Inside the Matrix 3. We didn't do a preview last week for Inside the Matrix 2 because I am trying to take a holiday. But I'm always here for my fans, for the SCMP MMA Massive. I can't leave you guys hanging. And thanks, Andrew, Chris, for joining me. Yes, we're going to break it down. I'm going to bring the card up on screen. But Chris, first of all, the most important question. You've just been to the dentist. How did that go?
Yeah, all fine. Unfortunately, they couldn't do the work I'd done because they'd ordered the wrong pieces. So I'll have to go again next week.
Okay. Well, it's been an ongoing saga. Everyone's been following with bated breath. We hopefully you can talk. It sounds like you can.
Yeah, I'm all good. No anesthetic today.
All right. Well, look, here's the card. Inside the Matrix 3, Singapore, tomorrow night, Friday, November the 13th. We're going to start, obviously, with that main event, guys, aren't we? John Lineker against Kevin Bellingham. This is a bit of a banger in that bantamweight division, and it looks like it's being touted as a title eliminator. We'll go predictions first. Andy, who are you picking?
Predictions first, eh? Oh, it's a beaut, isn't it? Absolute banger. This is the kind of matchup we've been really waiting for when John and Lineker signed. It's mad, isn't it, to think that it's been over a year since either of these guys competed. Crazily.
That is mad.
Yeah, it's over crazy. A year. Lineker's still only 30 as well, which is quite cool, I think. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty crazy. It seems like he's been around forever, and he never got a title shot when he was in the UFC. He's keen to change that now. Beating Bellingham, you have to say, would be enough. Bellingham's number 1, Lineker's number 5. I fancy the decision. I think both these guys are just so durable. I think it's going to go all the way, and Lineker to edge it. Now, for him to do that, it's going to have to be quite convincing against a real. I mean, Bellingham's been here since what, the 3rd ever one show? Like, he is old school. He's part of the furniture here. So
he's an OG of one championship, for sure.
I think he's going to have to make it convincing, Lineker, but it's crazy to think that it will go the distance given the power that both these guys have for that weight class, because they can both bang, and we know. I really think it's going to be a classic. And both these guys have been talking it up as if it's going to be a classic as well.
All right. Obviously. So who were you actually picking, did you say?
Lineker. Lineker by decision.
All right. Sorry. By decision, yeah. Lineker. Chris, prediction first, and then you can go
I'm going to join you on the Lineker hype train. I think this is his arrival, really, into one championship. This is where he really stamps out his authority. I was looking earlier. I think Kevin Bellingham and John Lineker, between them, have 30 to 40 finishes between them. I mean, this isn't going the distance in my books. I fancy John Lineker. I think he's probably going to fight for gold in the very near future, quite possibly win gold. Of all the athletes that signed over from the UFC recently to one championship, if you go on his Instagram, if you go on John Lineker's Twitter, he's the one who's retweeting everything that one championship does, tagging one championship in all his posts. He, out of the Sage and Vitor, DJ and Eddie, he seems to be the one who's really, really enjoying his time in one. He's enjoying the way he's being treated. And yeah, I think John Lineker, it's going to be a third round knockout. Those hands of stone, I think, are just going to connect.
Okay. Well, of course, we have to note that this fight has already happened. I don't know the results. They do a pretty good job, one, of keeping it quiet. They've been taping a few dark shows, or they taped a few dark shows before the first live Inside the Matrix a couple of weeks ago. This is the second of the 3 taped shows. But yes, I've got no idea who wins. I'm on the fence here. My gut says Lineker, but Bellingham, former champ, he's not to be trifled with. But I'm going to make it a clean sweep. Sorry, of Lineker predictions. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
100%. I mean, you go back. I think you go back the last 6 or 7 years. John Lineker has only lost to 2 people. That's Corey Sandhagen and TJ Dillashaw, which really does show the level he's been operating at. When you think that TJ Dillashaw loss was 6 years ago, he was 24. That's very, very early in your career to be fighting top level guys, and that is what he's been doing his whole career. And I do really think that this is just a fantastic opportunity for John Lineker to push on, and particularly at some of those lower weights. It seems to be Brazilian land at the moment. It seems to be so many good quality Brazilians down there. Hopefully we get a lot of people watching the live stream on Friday night in Brazil.
You look at who his scalps are. Look at who Lineker's beaten. There's some really impressive names. Ian McCall, who I've always been a fan of. Uncle Creepy. He beat John Dodson, and he also beat Marlon Vera, Chito Vera. So, he ultimately, his time ended in the UFC because of issues with weight cutting, and that's less of an issue now at 1. So hopefully, I mean, he's competing at bantamweight now, right? So we're seeing of John Lineker, who should be, by all accounts, at his strongest, which is kind of a scary thought. Now, if anybody can step up and handle that, it's Kevin Bellingham, but that's what makes this such a blockbuster main event. And that's the kind of main event you want to see. And when one do make these marquee signings, these are the kind of matchups you want, kind of the best of Asia, one of the best fighters out of the Philippines, an absolute star over here in Asia versus an absolute banger like Lineker. Interesting that you're saying that he's retweeting all the one stuff as well, because I don't know if I follow him, but he doesn't speak any English at all. So it kind of you wonder, right? Like, if everything's being written about you in another language, that must be quite surreal. Is it him retweeting it, or does he have a guy? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'd assume he probably has a little team working with him or with his gym, because he does train most of his time at American Top Team. So I guess they must have some translators there. And, I'm always a bit perplexed a lot of the time with a lot of these Brazilian fighters who don't speak English, they say, but they tend to understand all the questions you asked. I tend to find that they understand everything, but they maybe just want the complete control. Maybe they don't have a complete grasp of English, but a lot of them, they do get it. And, if he does win this, he's going to be fighting Bibiano. So they can do all the trash talking in Brazilian. One will hire a translator. It's not a problem.
That's a beautiful matchup, isn't it? Look, I think everyone, including Bellingham and Bibiano, are sick of, probably amazing as it was, that rivalry, a 5th one at the moment. At least, it's nice just to renew some or start some new rivalries, right? I want to hear from our Filipino audience, because they are some of the most passionate combat sports fans in Asia. We've unilaterally said that Lineker is going to win this, which I don't think they'll like. So I want to know how is Bellingham going to win this? I want to hear from you guys. Let us know.
Yeah, and also people out there.
Migs de la Cruz is saying, when do the fights actually happen? They're happening on Friday. They've already happened, Migs.
In the past.
But they're in the past, but they'll be screening. They'll be broadcast 8:30 p.m. Singapore time, Friday night. So that ring walk for the main event, you'd be, I don't know, last week's show was so short, wasn't it? It was over in about a couple of hours. It got saved by the last 2 fights went a little bit longer, but we had 3 first-round finishes in a row, which is always fun. I'm a fan of both short fights and long fights. So yes, Mix, tune in tomorrow, 8:30. Again, we do not know the actual results. Sorry, I interrupted you, Chris. You had something very important to say, I imagine. Or Andy, one of you.
Yeah, I was just saying as well to everyone out there. Silence. I mean, okay. if you look at Kevin with that fight he had against Bibiano, and 2 of them went really, really close. And then as well, you have to look at, he did beat Martin, and he beat Martin quite handily. So, I mean, let's not disrespect Kevin. I mean, this is what happened when you've got to do a pick. To all the fans out there, you've got to choose someone. And we're not saying that one's bad and one's good. We're just saying they're 2 guys at the very highest level. And I just think John Lineker, I think they're just as skillful as each other. It is that John Lineker, I think it's the power. He hits so hard.
Hands of stone. One thing is, in 27 fights, Kevin Bellingham's never dropped 3. Never.
Yeah. And the one thing to remember about John Lineker and his hands of stone was, for the first time in his last fight in one, was the first time he broke his hands.
Yeah, the second round.
Yeah. So maybe you should change his nickname to Hands of Steel, because steel doesn't break.
John Hyun Ko, Mr. JHK MMA says, speed, precision, distance control are keys to victory for Bellingham. Indeed, indeed. John did a little show earlier with Tom Taylor, the post-fight live chat. He's not on today. I think he's having mechanical issues with his car. He texted me something like that. Fill us in, John. What's going on with the car? Miggs is back. If that's the case, athletes seem pretty chill with doing promos in their respective social media accounts. Yes, is it kind of weird for you guys that this fight has already happened, but they kind of have to pretend it's not happened yet? And you've got one of them has lost the fight, or presumably it's not a draw, and they've got to pretend it's still there. Do you like that? It's kind of annoying for me. It is a bit of theater, isn't it? It's like pro wrestling in a way.
Very weird. I think you hit it on the head there. If you've lost the fight, and then you've got to get behind posting kind of videos, headed to the weigh-ins kind of thing, headed to the hotel now. If you've lost it, that must be so demoralizing. If you've won, you must have so much fun with it. Like, I know that I scored a sick knockout in the first round. Like, right, who wants an interview, lads? Yeah, I've got this funny feeling it's going to go really well for me. Yeah?
Yes. I'm calling it now. I got a first round knockout. Yeah. Chris, it's a little different, isn't it? But do you understand in the circumstances why one has to do this? Because as I've been informed, it's not because they want to do it. It's because the Singapore government will only let them do this once a month. So they have to tape the shows. It's understandable. It's not an ideal scenario, but it is what it is, as Max Holloway says.
I don't have a problem with it, but my only issue with it is I think they should be more open and transparent about the fact that these fights have already happened and we're going to let you know the results in a week's time. I'd prefer if they came out in Inside the Matrix one and said, we're filming all these other fights and they're going to be released over the next few weeks. Make it open, make it transparent. That would just be my only issue. Because I know a lot of people who actually have messaged me and thought, these fights live? They seem to be going really quickly. And I'm like, no, they've already been taped, which seems odd to a lot of other people because it is something you generally do say. I mean, even if you look at, I'm not a big wrestling fan, but even in WrestleMania this year, they did tell you that certain stuff was filmed, and that's professional wrestling. I mean, probably you should have asked the guy who was on earlier who gave a fantastic interview if you want to look at it from a more sports entertainment perspective. And that was a great interview this morning by John Hyun Ko and Tom Taylor with the one and only John Nutt.
Indeed.
Salute.
Fight Circus
look,
2.
It's difficult, mate. It's difficult, isn't it? They do. If you read any of the previews on the one website, they do say in a previously taped show, right? So, I mean, they're disclaiming it now on their previews, but if you make a big, like, it's taped, like that disclaimer, it does take away a bit of the magic. And if you think, how many of the fans tuning in are casual fans? I don't know. But for some people, like, if you're watching it, I don't know, you can still get kind of wrapped up in the magic of it all. If you don't know the result, it's live to you. If you're sitting in your armchair, you don't know half the fighters. Doesn't matter so much. I think we're quite invested in it, so it probably matters to us the most, especially if you're trying to do pre-fight interviews, right? Yeah. It's a bit annoying, but I think you have to cut everyone some slack given what's going on around the world.
I would assume that all the fighters out there, when they do lose and they're posting stuff about going to the hotel and training in the gym, I don't think it's them touching their phones, to tell you the truth, because most of the fighters I've had the chance to meet, they would not want to do that. They've probably given it to an assistant or someone from one championship to run it for a week.
Like Ali Abdelaziz when he controls all his fighters' accounts on Twitter.
Yeah, Ali the Octopus. Imagine him with like 8 tentacles and loads of phones.
Yeah. I feel the Kawas have been doing a bit of that with George Masvidal's account this week as well. In the wake of the crooked election results. Republicans not happy, are they? Let's not get into that. John is saying fans don't care. I guess that's true. You know, half of them won't even realize it's not live, and half of them, if they do, maybe won't even give a damn. Is that a valid point, Chris? I see where John is coming from.
Look, the thing is, right, this card with John Lineker on it, with the Team Lakai boys, this will, and just one championship and the standard that is at now, this will always attract the hardcore fans, maybe. And I guess the casual fans might just watch it because they want something to do on a Friday night in Asia or a Friday morning in the Western world. And a lot of new sorry, that just cracked me up. But yeah, I think the thing is the casual fans probably just won't realize and will just enjoy the show anyway.
Yes, indeed.
Look, I'm going to enjoy it. Thank God they don't leak. Like you say, I think they do such a fantastic job of keeping it in-house. Like, we're almost as close as you can get to the sport, given how many fighters we interview. I've got no idea of the results. And I hate spoilers, right? If you tell me what's happening in my favorite show, even if I find out the Arsenal result, I'm bitter. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. I'm kind of reluctant to wake up for it if I know the result. So as long as they don't leak it, and if anything, this theatre, this spectacle, this on my way to the hotel, guys, that all plays into that, trying to keep it intact for you as a spectator. They're trying to keep that experience. Look, everybody's having to improvise a bit. I don't think they want to tape shows. Fans ideally don't really want them to tape shows. If we all don't know the result, we've got to live with it. And I'm just happy that there are shows.
Yeah.
I bet, Andy, you were not happy with that 3-0 turnover by Aston Villa. Did you?
Please, that's a whole podcast for a whole other day. It might have been the worst performance since the 8-2 at Old Trafford. That was grim. Grim viewing, especially at 3 a.m.
Yes, some strange results this year. But anyway, Migs Dela Cruz is saying hardcore fans would have cared if the Onglar fight was pre-taped. Myanmar would probably be up in arms. Yes, I mean, it would have been hard for them to keep that result quiet, and I don't think they would have done that one taped because Onglar is one of their biggest live draws, I think, in terms of numbers and metrics. We all saw it, as Andy alluded to earlier. Our fight companion that week went bonkers, picked up a few thousand new subscribers. Yeah.
Okay, we're not mentioning one key thing is that, from my knowledge, not a lot of people, it's not even really possible to gamble on one championship, except if you go to some pretty dodgy websites, which you boys would know nothing about, I'm sure. You can't really gamble on it. There's not a big gambling culture when it comes to one championship. If you could, this would be a huge deal. Now, for the Thais, where gambling is completely embedded with Muay Thai, they were, I think, the most annoyed when they found out about this. And I think that's when it became a lot more transparent that shows were being taped. But gambling is the biggest elephant in the room, right? I mean, that becomes pretty tricky with pre-tape shows. And I don't think many people in Asia gamble on MMA or on one championship specifically, but we know that how important it is when it comes to Muay Thai. And now that one championship is pretty much the star-studded home of Muay Thai in Asia, it's a bit problematic.
John is asking, is the fight companion happening for this show? Yes, it is, John. Hopefully, John, you will join us. And Chris and Andrew, you are both invited if you'd like to jump on again. Always great to have you guys. Chris is the real cheerleader, getting people to like and subscribe. We need him.
Top man.
Yes, indeed. Why don't we have a look at the co-main event? We've been waffling a little bit about the live, non-live element, because there's some more great fights on this card. I like this card. It's a bit of a Team Lakai card, isn't it, guys? Filipinos represent. So Geji Eustaquio, former flyweight interim champ, I do believe, is up against Song Min Jong. Who have we got in this one, Chris? I throw it to you first.
This is actually one of the hardest fights on the whole card to call, actually, because Geji has just done it for years in and years out. He's been solid in one championship, been good in his last couple of performances, a bit up and down. But the thing is, I went back and watched some of Song's fights, and this is a guy who did win the Road FC Flyweight Championship. He's got some really good performances, pretty solid takedown defense, good striking. The only oddity is what I really don't understand is why this fight has been being done at a catch weight. It seems super odd for one. I know they do like to have a catch weight on every card, but there's no real reason for it. Would have been nice to see them fight at championship weight or closer to championship weight than the 64 kilos, which is, I think, about 141, 142-ish pounds. But yeah, I think I'm just going to slightly favour Geji in this one. I'm going to do it. You know, I've got Team Lakai to lose the first fight, so I'm going to go for Geji for the second one because I love Team Lakai. I love all my Igorot Warriors, Baguio City, love all my Filipinos, so why not? Let's go with Geji, and I think it's going to be a close decision, but I think he's just going to edge it.
Andrew, Mr. Gravity for you as well? Oh, Song.
I love like the depth of that analysis was I really like the Philippines. I'm not going to bet against them twice. That's quality, mate. I'm with you.
Yeah,
Jay all the way. I like the running man. He's kind of really coming to his own. If you look at the fact that he's 28, right? He's in the best form of his career. He's won his last 4. He's as you mentioned, you know, a massive stalwart of Road FC, and the competition there was pretty solid. He actually lost to Andrew Leone back in 2012. And if you look at his losses, this guy's only been finished once in his career, and that was way back in 2011. So he would have been 19 years old then. So I don't see him getting finished. Jay back to winning ways. But if you look at the guys who Jay's lost to, I mean, it's only Adriano Moraes and who else? Oh, yeah, Yuya Wakamatsu. There's no shame in that. Kara Akhmetov,
No.
yeah, but he got both of those back. So, I mean, this is a legit matchup. I like it, but I just fancy Jay he'll be in confidence after winning his last fight. He's so good as well. He's getting better all the time. Such a good trainer. And I don't think he'll get the finish, but I do think he'll get the win.
Yeah.
John isn't happy with you guys. You're banned from Korean soil. Indeed.
Savage. Brutal.
Yeah. Well, it's a tough job, John. You know it well yourself. The picking game, the prediction game can come back to haunt you.
And as well, the thing is, he did really, really well in Road. To me, one championship is a level above that. And, you know, his last 2 wins are technically in one championship, but they were both Warrior Series, which to me is not really the same as saying one championship. It's more similar to Dana White Contender Series, or, you know, maybe playing League One football in comparison to the Premier League, because we know John Honko loves his football analogies.
John, how does the running man get this done? Apart from his passport.
Leave us a comment, John. If you have a case for Song, let us know. Otherwise, we'll move on down the card. How about that, guys?
Yep.
We'll wait to see if John replies. Anyway, that was about 4, about 3. They're all MMA belts, aren't they, on this card? MMA heavy belt. Sorry, MMA heavy card. Oh, John is taking JA by KO as well. All right, there you go. Yeah.
So does that mean, John, does that mean you're going to have to leave Korea now because you have to leave Korean soil? Or you're going to defect north of the border?
He's going for one last barbecue tonight, and then it's good night. Good night, Irene.
He's moving to Manila afterwards to join Team Lakai. All right. About Murad Ramazanov against Hiroyuki Tetsuka. Hope I did not butcher both of those names.
10 points
kind
for
of squinting
Gryffindor.
at my screen there. 10 points for Gryffindor. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll go to Andrew first this time. Who are you picking here?
Murad, just because he's got that Dagestani top pressure. He's just a beast. There's a lot of excitement about this guy. To be honest with you, I only really watched his last fight, and it was as you'd expect from a gentleman of his background. He just pressures people into oblivion, doesn't he? In grounds and pounds you. He did that in the first round against Myung-Ho Bae. And looking through his record, there's a lot of chokes in here, a lot of ground and pound, a lot of vicious savagery. nobody's been able to beat him yet, and I'm not sure Tetsuka is the man to do it. I think he'll get this done first or second round, and more just wet blanket Dagestani pressure.
Yeah, 100%, Andrew. I'm gonna have to agree with you there. Tetsuka has some great fights back in the past in Pancrase, I believe. Looks good, very well rounded. But then you just look into more Ramazanov, and you look, he's part of Dag Fighter. This is Saeed Nurmagomedov, Khabib, Zabit. I mean, anyone out of Dagestan is pretty much coming out of that gym. And what is it they say? Iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel, something along those lines. And yeah, as much as I love The Last Samurai, Tetsuka, he is awesome. He did really well in Pancrase. Just at the moment, in men's MMA anyway, these Dagestanis, they're just on another level. I mean, they are what Brazil, for John Hyun Ko, they are what Brazil is to football right now, what Dagestan is to MMA.
Well, it's funny because like in the early days of MMA, everyone wanted to settle the argument over which discipline is the best. And in 2020, if you're wrestling from Dagestan, I think there's a very strong argument that your style of fighting is the best.
Oh yeah, 100%. And as well, we have to remember is Dagestan famed for its wrestling, but they've also produced the most judo champions in all of Russia. They've also produced the most sambo and combat sambo champions. I mean, I always remember Khabib, was it? He wore the T-shirt where it was like real men called BJJ Sambo. Which, you know, it does make you think if in UFC 1 back in 1993, if we had a Dagestani wrestler, the whole world could be completely different. Maybe you never know.
We're all trying our best to grow our beards, but
yeah. I just can't wait to shave this part off and go for the mustache.
Yeah,
exactly.
Are you
doing November, Andy?
November.
No, I'm not, mate. No, but I'll donate to yours if you are.
Oh, why not? I'll send you the page. Yeah, I think you'd suit a really good Hulk Hogan. You've got the jawline for it.
Oh, thanks, mate. One can only strive, you know.
Yes, November.
Yes, brother. Yes, brother.
Good to see more welterweights as well, guys. Right? We had the title fight obviously last week. It's one of the divisions one doesn't have any rankings for, no top 5. I was thinking, do they have enough fighters for a top 5? It looks like they do. Do you think they should maybe make one soon? You could feasibly do it if you've got. They have at least 5 fighters, don't they? But maybe you want to have, people knocking on the door for that 5th spot, don't you?
This would certainly even things out a little. I think a big win for either of these guys, and then maybe you've got a bit more incentive to do it. I would love to see them strengthen a little bit in this area, but it just doesn't seem to be a strategic priority, because if you look at the divisions where they've really strengthened, there's a strong argument that they've got the best in the world for that division. Maybe atomweight now, and some of the smaller weight classes, maybe the flyweights, even the bantamweights are looking really good nowadays. It's got a lot of depth there. But if you look upwards, there's almost like, well, is there much point in us putting a lot of resources into middleweight, into welterweight? And it just doesn't seem to be a priority at the moment, hopefully in the long term. But in Asia, is there a lot of depth at middleweight? Not as much as there would be in Europe and North America, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. And also the issue here that we also have to look at is, which seems odd to me, because they have added people from lightweight down really, and they have rankings up to lightweight, and then they've made all these signings for heavyweight, while they haven't really made a big splash with the other 3 or 4 higher weight classes that is light heavyweight, middleweight, and welterweight. So I'd kind of like to see these get a lot added in, and like how they would. Was it the Infinity series they were going to do, and they're doing 3 inside the matrices? I would like for them to say in March, we're going to do 3 shows in a row, and we're only going to have welterweights up. And let's actually start building those divisions now. Because there is a point where if you're only going to concentrate on lightweight down, should you just concentrate on that niche, or should you, bring in a load of talent to really boost the priority?
Well, John says one, yeah. They're going to sign a bunch of welterweights and middleweights from Europe, apparently.
Yeah. John, and whenever I'm trying to make a point, I'm just going to bring this up. That just applies to the rest of the show. Like, yes, thank you.
Well, John, you may as well log in if you're on the computer.
Well, you never know as well. We do always mention how weak the heavier weight divisions are, and we all know Chatri watches this podcast, so come on, Chatri, you know we want it.
Yeah. Yes.
The funny one about heavyweight, right? There's such a history of, because of Japan, of people just loving heavyweights. Heavyweight is almost like a whole different sport in itself. It's like, if you compare heavyweight to a flyweight fight, it's so much fun how different the dynamics are. So heavyweight, like, I think any fight promotion, if you ignore heavyweight, then that's just like a single teardrop, you know, like, come on, the fans love some of the big boys action, right?
100%.
All right. One Championship UK in the house. Hello to you as well. One of our favorite users. Any questions, please ask. We're just breaking down One Championship Inside the Matrix 3, previewing the card. Let's get going. We've got a couple more fights to talk about. Bout number 2. YURI SAMOAS versus Fan Rong. We're going to go to Chris first. Chris, who have you got your money on? Your theoretical money, because as Andy said, you can't really gamble on One Championship.
This is the hardest fight to judge it on. Fan Rong is he 11-2, 9-2, something like that, or 12-2. Sorry, I do apologize. His last loss was to Rainer de Ridder, who is a champion now. He beat Ong La, so obviously he's really, really good. He lost his professional debut, and obviously then has only lost to the champion. And it's so hard to call. He's out of Longyun MMA, really good gym in China. But this guy, YURI SAMOAS, everything I hear about him, he's so decorated in jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt. He's been training at AKA, which, I mean, probably one of the 5 super gyms in the world to be over at American Kickboxing Academy. I wouldn't be surprised if we found out he has some involvement with Evolve MMA. That might be right, that might be wrong, but you get a lot of people who have these dodgy records from Evolve who just turn out to be absolute killers. To tell you the truth, this is really getting thrown in the deep end for your professional debut. But you think with this guy over at AKA, training with possibly Kane or a DC or a Khabib, if there's someone, if you're a jiu-jitsu black belt and you're getting trained takedowns by those guys in particular, if you can take down half as good as Khabib or a quarter as good as Daniel Cormier, if you can get this guy down to the ground, you can probably go for a finish. It's so hard to call.
Yeah, it's a fascinating matchup, isn't it? But if you're looking at, you do look at that record of Fan Rong, and you wonder, do one like YURI SAMOAS? Because what a savage baptism of fire! That's your first ever MMA fight, and you're getting this absolute killer from China, who, like you say, only really recently lost to Rainier de Ridder, smashed most other opponents. It's so difficult, but that is exactly what it is. It's all it's ever going to be, right? Can he take him down? Can he impose his will on the ground against a very, very seasoned and very, like, pretty good-looking record MMA fighter from China? Looking forward to that one. It's a question we'll have answered. That's been answered, but we'll find out the answer.
We will find out the answer. Should be a good fight. As you said, guys, back on that topic we were discussing before that fight about heavyweights and welterweights. Adam H says one need to sign Mark Hunt. No. We like that idea, guys, or is Mark maybe best retired?
I love Mark Hunt and I love everything he's done in the sport, but there's just a certain point, like, I don't want to see old guys who've been getting knocked out for 20 years. I don't want to see them potentially getting knocked out 25 years into a professional career. You know, he's fought in heavyweight, the highest paying division generally in global MMA. He should have made his money if he was smart with it. I can understand if he wants 1 or 2 more fights, but yeah, I just don't know if he is the future. And, you know, because the thing is as well with Mark Hunt is he might only want 1 or 2 more fights. And, you know, he does have that power. He could just come and knock out a Brandon Vera and retire with the belt. And that's something that no one really wants to see. It's a division we want to see active, you know. Brandon Vera's been champion for 5 years and had 1 title win and 3 defenses. And, you know, I want to see the heavyweight champion of the world fighting twice a year, ideally.
He's got a boxing match in Australia coming up says Adam H as well. All news to me. I'm not too clued up on Mark Hunt's activities. Andrew, yes, would you like to see him in one championship?
One of the wildest interviews I've ever done. We've all know about his court case against the UFC, and he went on a tirade, and he, to be honest with you, made some pretty valid points. You feel pretty sorry for him. For those who don't know, it's a court case relating to his fight against Brock Lesnar, who later failed a drugs test. So he was suing the UFC, if I have got this right, and Brock Lesnar, and just went off. He's a very outspoken guy, pretty entertaining to listen to. But if you're, I don't know, he's not quite willing to toe the company line. If he doesn't like what's happening, he can unleash, and he'll really say what he thinks. He's a bit of a problematic character in terms of PR. If do you know what I mean? I think it could be a bit dodgy in that regard. That being said, if he was fighting, Vitor Belfort, Vitor's only a couple of years younger, maybe Alan Angelani, those are some fun fights. And the fact is, if Mark Hunt wants to keep fighting, look, in a perfect world, I would have liked to have seen him ride off into the sunset to a pot of gold. But that's not the case. Unfortunately, I think he's lost a lot of money in this court case. And if he wants to keep doing it, if there's a good stand-up battle for him, because, someone like Curtis Blades, not a nice matchup for the Super Samoan, not a nice matchup at all. And he was pretty stifled in that fight. But if he is against someone similar age and he's willing to be active and someone's willing to stand in front of him, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, he is a fun fighter. It always puts me back to that one interview he did where he was talking about how he slurs his speech now, how sometimes he doesn't remember where he is, and sounds a bit CTE for me. That's just
now Chris, you've just made me feel bad about myself now. Thanks.
Hey. If Mark Hunt came back, you know what? No offense to Mark Hunt, he would beat the crap out of everyone in this podcast in about a minute. But you know what? If he came back, I'd love to see him get to a great gym, lose a load of pounds, and come back at like middleweight or like heavyweight, because he has always been one of those fighters who could probably go down a weight class.
I think we could do
no way.
Come on, Mark Hunt.
Do you remember that video though? That was like a bloke who was a bit like 5 years. Well, he's in his mid-20s, early 20s, and he had a bit of a belly. And like Mark Hunt just smashed him in the belly as hard as he could, and it just went like it was in slow motion. It went viral. I think it might have been John Wayne Parr's video. Actually, it was gold. Yeah. Go check it out.
I just don't know if you're 5'10", if you should have to cut to make heavyweight in the UFC. It's just it's a little bit much, isn't it? I mean, he's an inch shorter than DC, and DC at least made light heavyweight. And there is an argument to say if he would have joined the UFC early, he probably could have fought in middleweight. DC
is listed as 6 foot, I think.
Is he listed as? Yeah, that's his fighting height. Yeah. Might as well be fighting out of lands unknown.
What about the first fight? We got one more just to talk through. Of course, yes, please give us any questions, any comments. We will interact with you. We're just going to finish off previewing this card, though. The first fight, another MMA bout, another Team Lakai MMA bout. It's LITO, the Thunder Kid, Adiwang, strawweight number 5, I think he's ranked. He's
this kid's a star. This kid's an absolute star, isn't he? I would really like a bit more from him in interviews, as like, the journalist speaking. I would like a little bit more, because he seems like a cool character. He's certainly fun to watch, right? He's so entertaining. He seems to be on the path to greatness, but for me, I want to see the complete package. The fans love him anyway, so I'm being nitpicking a little bit, but I just want to see a little bit more from him, gives very short answers in interviews, you know what I mean? But look, I think that's just because his English
isn't as good as some of the other guys, but he'll get there, I'm sure. And they all speak.
How do you guys feel about the fact that the champ is his friend? So that seems to be pretty problematic. He also said that he thinks he's ranked number 5, right, LITO? He thinks 3 more fights and I'm in with a title shot. Less than that for me. I think a big win here and then one more marquee fight and he should be right up there. I mean, he's on an absolute tear He hasn't lost for years. I haven't got his record in front of me, but he hasn't lost for ages. He's also kind of making up for lost time because he took 2 years out. He used to live in Malaysia. I think his last loss was maybe Ultimate Beatdown in Johor. But he's not young anymore, Lito. So he needs to be getting on it. He needs to be getting a big name after this if he wins this. And talking about the title, but so back to the question, what do you guys make of the fact that he doesn't want to fight necessarily fight a teammate?
Well, Joshua Pasio, of course, yes, is the strawweight champion in one. They are teammates at Team Lakai. They're on a collision course, aren't they, Chris? It looks like it's going to happen probably within the next year or two.
Oh, 100%. But actually, this one I'm going to disagree. I think it's maybe the first time we've disagreed on the predictions, and I'm going to disagree. I actually think Manoa's going to win this one. A lot of people out there sleeping on Manoa. Very, very good. I literally think he gave up his title in strawweight title in Shuto actually to sign with one. Yeah, he has 2 losses on his record. Both of them were by decision. One of them in particular was a very, very close decision. We watched it the other day, and I actually gave it to Manoa. It was a majority decision to the person he was fighting. He's very, very young. And you know what? When you actually break down the ways he wins, he's absolutely phenomenal. He has wins, I think, about 4 or 5 by submission, 3 by KO, TKO, 2 by decision. Shows he's really, really well-rounded. And this could be a bit of a banana skin. And, yeah, you know, I every time I get on a show with a few guys from Lakai, I always have to do a disservice to Lakai. I did the show last year where they lost all 4 fights, and I predicted them all correctly, and I got all the Lakai guys on my back. I love Team Lakai, but I just, for some reason, this is a banana skin for me. And,
massive banana skin, dude. I mean, I'm not taking it as any given. I just see that star power that Lito's got. And
oh, yeah.
I get excited when I see someone who's got that in their locker and who's on such a tear. I think it's a 7-fight win streak now. But yeah. Manoa, to do what he's done at 21 years old, he's arguably the most exciting, I don't know what word you want to use, but almost on Christian Lee's level in terms of age versus talent, right? For a 21-year-old to have been Shuto champion, and like you say, the only losses on his record are debatable, to say the least. This guy is legitimately very, very good. Like, this is no walk in the park for Lito. In fact, if he gets this, that's the reason I say 1 more after this, and you're looking at the title shot, never mind 3. I think he's being modest or playing himself down. If he beats Manoa, that again, that when I say, like, I'm being maybe asking a lot, but I would like him to get on the mic and start talking himself up a bit and drawing every drop of that star power that he's got. I want to see a big call out after the fight. Not really his style, mine. But if he beats Manoa, this is massive for him. He should sail up to the very top of the rankings.
Well, Andrew, Miggs De La Cruz, he disagrees with you. He says Lito is damn marketable and his charisma is outstanding. But
don't misunderstand me. I just want to see more of it. I see that I agree with you. That's why I want him to maximize it. And I think Nick probably made a good point. Yeah, maybe you've got to credit him for the fact that he's even doing interviews in English. I mean, that is a key point. I think I'd find it pretty damn difficult to show any charisma in French, right? Arguably, I don't show any in English. So don't misunderstand me. I'm such a Lito fan. I want to see him maximize this star power because I feel something special is happening here with him.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Andrew, but I'm going to go the opposite way. Shin Yaoki's been going on about, he does a lot of work for One, scouting people in Japan. This is someone he's been recommending to One. And yeah, Lito can bring a lot of star power to One, but that's not to say Manoa can't. Japan is a market that One have been trying to crack for such a long time. And apart from Shinya, this could be a guy, he's young, and it gives such a great opportunity for the Japanese market because the Japanese One, they always like a homegrown champion or a homegrown competitor a la Sakuraba fighting the Gracies twice a month for 3 years. But then you can also, 21 years old, if this guy can get ranked, he can clear out the division, not once, but twice. This is like, you know, this is a guy who made his debut at 16. If he can win this fight, he has to get ranked. Maybe after that, he's got Rene Catalan maybe in his way, maybe Pasio in his way. And you know, that's the title. And, you know, this could be someone we're saying in 5-6 years is still a champion. He has the ability to go on a super long run. And as well, he's quite tall for the weight class. He could go up and become a champ. And even at 21, there is even the possibility of a triple champ as he maybe gets the 30. He could go up, you know, 2 weight classes. Yeah, I think it's a great fight to kick off a card. It's so high level. Yeah, I know you did your prediction is on LITO, but what's your method of finish, method of victory?
I don't know if I am predicting LITO to win, you know. I don't know if I am. It's really hard to call. It's interesting. Miggs de la Cruz have made some great points today. Disservice to for both for being the first match, then co-main at least. I will say that outside the main event, this has to be your one to watch, because when you put it in these terms, it's absolutely fascinating. I think it might be a case of my heart says LITO because I see so much in him, but my head maybe says Manoa. I don't know.
Adam H says Manoa all day. He's going for Manoa.
Yeah, I think they would be higher on the cards, but I don't think they want 3 Filipino fighters in a row and 2 Japanese fighters in a row. Sometimes you do see with one championship, if you have 3 or 4 Filipinos fighting, they do like to mix them through the card rather, because sometimes you might get one country just comes and watches their fighters and leaves, but they want them to watch the whole card ideally.
No, it's second round submission. I'm doing it. Second round submission.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We put you on the spot.
Ground and pound for me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. Yes, as we said, you can't really actually put any money on it, but if you're playing with your friends, you know, predicting the scores and the results, that's what Chris and Andrew are going for. We've finished the card now. If you have any other questions, please ask them. Put them in the comments there. Otherwise, guys, I'm trying to think of any other news in the world of one on your travels. What have you come across, Andy or Chris? I think it's pretty quiet, isn't it, at the moment? They're just, you know, reeling from 2 pretty big cards. You know, some shockwaves have been sent through the world of one.
The Gary Tonin fight, is that confirmed yet?
No, but, you know, it looks like they're trying to figure out whether that show is going to be live or not. I think the 2 coronavirus positive cases they had from cornermen at Inside the Matrix 1, that's thrown a little bit of a spanner in the works for them. But for me, that was a positive. It showed that the safety protocols in place worked, and they caught the guys before they went out there. Not to sound all Dana White on you, but there's something to be taken from that. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna throw out there. I mean, look, compared to Inside the Matrix 1 with all the title fights, that was the card to watch. But arguably, this is just as exciting a card. And we have 3 fights here that are totally going to change the rankings, most likely. If whatever happens in the first fight in the co-main and the main event, this can have big implications. And you 2 guys are writing your articles and being journalists and whatnot. You always love a little bit of implication and something extra you can talk about.
Yes, I'll be getting to stretch my proverbial rankings fingers. You know, we've had a couple of rankings updates, but not really any changes so far. I've actually been waiting to get to alter the top 5s on some of these divisions. Andrew, are you on the rankings as well? I know Tom Taylor. Did they invite you to this esteemed panel?
No, I was on the move at the time, so no.
Oh, well, that's one. If you're listening, Chatri, you know you listen to these shows. You need to get Andrew in there. He's stalwart of the Asian MMA scene, literally on AsianMMA.com. And we got a couple more comments here. John asking how many Inside the Matrix cards are there? 4. There'll be 1 more next week, which they've taped. It's a pretty terrible card. Not to sound all Zane Simon, who got a lot of blowback on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
For suggesting the UFC card last week was not worth his time covering it. We'll be covering it. I'm just saying it's not very good.
Inside the Matrix 4, actually, Rocky Ogden will be fighting, who is exciting. He's one person.
Yes, they moved that one. He was meant to be last week, I think. That's the beauty of tape cards. You can shuffle them around to make them better if they're not very good. And is Outside the Matrix the next series? Asks John. It is not. Get out of here, John. Stop trolling. I don't know what they're called. The random one name generator will be put into action soon, no doubt. We'll figure it out.
Wait, we have a wager. Did you see this? Or did we? Yeah, Oreo cookies in the mix.
A Lakai sweep. That is big talk. So Bellingham to beat Lineker, LITO to beat Minoa, and Geji to beat Song. Big prediction from Mig.
I'll step up a cookie for that. I'll step up.
Know what? We're not even going to bet a cookie, Mig Stella Cruz. We'll bet you a whole pack.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes. That's
high roller.
The SCMP has very deep pockets, I hear. That Alibaba money.
Well, it's not going well, is it? The Ant IPO, is it, Chris? Migs says cheers, guys, as well. Great show. Can't believe I only just discovered this channel a month ago. Yeah, we're here. We've been here for 15 plus months. We've been kicking up the content lately. We're really trying to get these one previews, these one recaps, these live fight companions off the ground. Always appreciate the help of Chris and Andrew for their hard work and effort.
Well, as it stands, guys, out there in the One Championship world, after Inside the Matrix 4, we have Winds of Change, Golden Circle, and Eye of the Storm.
Are those on the website?
Yeah, according to the website, but they'll probably get changed and they'll just choose one of them and have part 2 and part 3 so they can tape it all in one go.
I think I've got it here. I'll try and bring it on screen.
I better have the Scorpion walk out for the Wind of Change.
Yes.
Upcoming events. Yes, Inside the Matrix 4 next week. Winds of Change, 4th December. I think if these do happen, it's a safe bet. It will be in Singapore. And then Golden Circle, as Chris was saying. And
are you going to be hopping down the Green Lane?
Off the Storm. The Green Lane, yes. November 22, Hong Kong and Singapore will have a travel bubble. But that means I'll miss... Well, I guess Inside the Matrix 4 has actually happened, will have happened already. So it doesn't matter. Maybe I can get there for the Winds of Change, December 4th. But looking at that, so I guess Gary Tonin said his fight was going to be November 20th. That won't happen now, will it? He might be bumped to that December 4th card.
Yeah.
His fight with Kiyomi Matsushima. Maybe that's the live one, the Winds of Change.
Yeah. Is anyone out there as a fan? Is anyone getting a bit desperate though for a Saturday night card in One Championship? Feels like since lockdown, also we've had this Friday night cards, and I do like the occasional Saturday night card personally.
I like a Saturday because I think you get more US fans, don't you, tuning in, especially if they've got one of the crown jewels, Eddie or DJ on the cards. The Tokyo ones was Saturday, timed for a US audience, and when they fought in Manila, there was a significantly lower US audience on my metrics, SCMP. I remember vividly. I was expecting more traffic, but it was, I guess everyone's at work still on a Friday morning there. John is crudely saying the Winds of Change. Oh, I can't read this. Get out of here, John. The Winds of Change is what happens. No. We're a serious podcast, John. Winds of Change, who knows? To be honest, guys, I don't even think these events will be called that, and things are often subject to change in one. Inside the Matrix was called something else up until about 3 weeks before they announced Inside the Matrix on their website.
Yeah. To Adam H out there, are you talking about Franco or Paputa?
Is this Adam H? Okay.
Yeah.
Adam H asking, did one end up signing the Brazilian Shuto champ that Tetsuka previously fought? Need more new blood at welterweight. Chris, take it.
Yeah, it's either Paputo or was the other guy Franca that he fought back in the day? I think Franca is over in the PFL. And the other Brazilian guy, Paputa, he fought in One Championship. Didn't he go and fight the Canadian guy, Elias Theodoro, I think, in some really small North American promotion for some reason. I mean, Elias Theodorou getting released by the UFC because he was boring when he went 7-2 or something. Can't believe one championship or Bellator or the PFL have not actually stepped up his hand. Also, if Chatri is watching, be interesting to see with what Kayla Harrison has done, where the PFL have allowed her to go over and have one fight in Invicta because they've cancelled the whole season. I wonder if Chatri is using his old connections like Lauren Mack to see if there's any PFL fighters who want to come and have one fight and one. You know, like to see Rory McDonald step out into the one championship circle.
I think
that
we'll
would be
see.
lovely stuff. That would be awesome.
I don't
think
Lauren will send anyone over for one. Just a hunch. It's not going to happen.
What a Christmas present that would be if Lauren sent the Red King to Chatri for one night only. Winds of change.
Lauren and Chatri can have a side bet, I guess, on the side. Have a bet over a few beers, maybe.
Or Oreos.
That's it. Yeah, Oreos. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see. Yeah, it's good to see the PFL letting some of their fighters fight. It's so far away, isn't it? Still the season, April, I think. 6 months, 5 months. Why not? If you're listening, Lauren, please, we'd love to see it. Yeah, please, anyone. Oh, John is saying, get Johnny Case over, says Adam H. And John Hyunko saying Rory Mack against Lan Sung. Why
that would
not?
Be absolute blockbuster stuff, though. I would love it.
Yeah, it's pretty risky though if you're one, isn't it, to put your fighters up against another organization. More risk for one, I think, if they would be hosting it. You know?
Well, it's interesting to see. I think Bellator and Ryzen, their collaboration, by all accounts, has been pretty successful, hasn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
And I think Pitbull's been posting in Japanese saying, watch my fight on DAZN. It's happening in the morning, Japanese time. So they seem like it's nice to see him try to make the effort as well to try and engage that fan base.
Well, DAZN having that having Bellator on DAZN in Japan. I don't know if many people out there realize actually DAZN in every country actually has such different sports rights. But in Japan, I believe they have the Premier League, they have all the rugby, they have the J League. So if you are a fight fan who happens to be into soccer, I think also they have the F1. So if you're into soccer, football, F1, rugby, and you have a fleeting interest in MMA, you can get Bellator for free, watch it on DAZN. And I mean, look, in an ideal world, Bellator and Ryzen should become one organization. I think we have too many organizations in this sport anyway. But one more power to them, more power. And Pitbull, I think, is probably Bellator's GOAT.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that about does it. We got nothing else to say. Oh, John is popping up. Yes, I was about to mention this, John. He's asking if there will be another SCMP 1 live show soon. There will be. We got a big one, the third episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. No, it's going to be Tuesday, blockbuster show by all accounts. We're going to have none other than Mr. Ong Lan Sung, the Burmese Python, giving one of his first interviews, I believe, since his shock loss to Renier de Ridder. So all our Myanmar fans, tune in 10 a.m. Hong Kong time. That's 10 a.m. Singapore time as well. I don't know what the time is in Myanmar, the difference. Well, we'll get it up there. We'll put it out there. We've also got some other big guests. We got Funky Ben Askren. No way. Yes, he's going to be on. Former One Championship welterweight king and Bellator, former UFC star. He's going to be here. He's over in Singapore. Well, he lands today, I think. He's traveling at the moment. He might be up in the air. He's going for the Apprentice. He's going to be on Chatri's Apprentice One Championship edition. So we're going to get Ben on the show. We're going to also have Mr. Sage Northcutt, who has just been in Singapore. I think he's flying back. He'll be back in California by then on Tuesday. But we'll pick his brains about what happened. Because, I'm interested to see what's going on with the Apprentice. No idea. It's all under wraps, isn't it? But Sage also has... theoretically, he should be back soon. I don't know if he's been cleared by the doctors yet. still recovering from that crazy injury, but he wants to compete in featherweight. We'll get an update from Sage on everything going on there. And yeah, look out, there'll be a couple more guests. I'm still negotiating with Tammy Chan, the wonderful Tammy Chan, One Championships, head of PR, trying to get a couple more fun guests for you guys. And I'm sure we'll be chatting all the news and everything to do with One. Get your questions in and your comments, like and subscribe as usual. Also, please remember, like and subscribe to these guys, Andrew Whitelaw, Chris Edwards-Bailey. Andrew, where can everyone find you other than this thing you're pointing to? Yes.
Yeah, Whitelaw Sport, articles on Asian MMA, gossip or news on BJ Penn, and Thai football commentary on One Play Sports. Gosh.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and you do a bit of left-way commentary as well, right?
Well, Lightweight Championship.
Yeah.
How could I forget that? The jewel in
Such
the
an
crown.
all-rounder.
Yeah, I'm hoping we'll be back in December. Let's see. Hopefully, we had a couple of shows a couple of months ago, which were pretty awesome, and they were from a secret location. I think it's not been declared, but they were absolute bangers. Like, what's cool about seeing the positives of what's going on, right, is promotions are having to improvise, and they gave an opportunity to a lot of talent that might not otherwise have had that opportunity. And there was this kid called Nabil Anane, who might be under 17 still, and he looks like the God King Xerxes from the 300, and he fights like it as well. And he, like, guys like that, I'm like, this kid's how old? And he just has like ridiculous elbows and knees, and it's so fun to watch. And so yeah, I like to call him the God King Xerxes.
Aren't you also involved in Full Metal Dojo Fight Circus as well?
Yeah, I would be commentating alongside those nutters. Shout out to Aaron and Teddy. But I can't get there. Can't get back into Malaysia, but I will be appearing on Fight Circus in some capacity. And still trying to shoot episodes of Eat Play Fight, sponsored by Chang Beer. We had our first episode, the dream. We went to cover McGregor. Great start. We're supposed to do Leicester City, Man United, and then UFC in Perth. Global pandemic.
Yeah.
When you have a travel show, as John Nutt always says, and then there's a global pandemic, meaning you can't travel. It's a sick twist on life, but make the best of it. We're going to probably film some stuff in Malaysia and Bangkok. Interesting things happening here, even now.
Yes.
Of course.
What a terrible year it has been. Chris and
I.
we had big plans, didn't we, to travel to One and do all the things, but it's still, maybe we can get out there. Yeah, it'd be cool. We'll see if this green lane.
You should start a new podcast called The Green Giants, and you just go back and forth.
Yeah, I just can't wait for the normalcy. I'm starting to. I think we're about 7 weeks out from the end of 2020. I'm ready for 2021 to roll on.
Well, let's see. Yeah, if we can get to Singapore and the testing isn't too expensive, and mainly I want to know, can we get in the arena to watch the fights? Maybe because they had 250 super fans there for Inside the Matrix 1. So why not? Maybe we can get inside. It would be a bit rubbish if we
get inside the Matrix.
Inside the Matrix.
Yeah.
But yes, if we have to just stay in the hotel and do it there, it'd probably be less fun. But I guess we could go and check out Singapore after the show. So keep your eyes peeled, team. Maybe we shall be flying to Singapore next month. It'd be fun to get away. I will not lie. As good as Hong Kong is, I'm very, very bored. I don't know about you, Chris, but it's been a long.
It would be nice to get somewhere slightly warmer climes as we head into our winter of high teens degrees.
I love this. I love this temperature right now.
The Hong Kong winter is the one. So good.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's very festive.
I was thinking that today. Yes. And sorry, everyone follow Chris EB_MMA.
Yeah, I chat a lot of crap about Team Lakai. Big Lakai fans come at me. I told everyone that Onglar was going to lose. The Burmese came at me. But I'm always proven right. So come at me more.
Yes. And after, of course, follow us, SCMP MMA on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Like and subscribe, all that stuff, all that noise. We'll be back tomorrow night with the One Championship Inside the Matrix 3 live fight companion. Chris and Andrew, hopefully you can join me there. If not, hopefully you'll be watching and commenting as well. And we'll see all of you there. Thanks for watching, all of you. It's a pleasure. Thanks for watching again. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.